Pose.
Yes. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I am behind the camera right now, but we have two special guests while Barry is on the phone with people. We have Christina Sharp and Katie Sullivan. They are going to be taking over Mental Health Monday today. And so, would you guys like to introduce yourself?
I'm Katie Sullivan. I am the Prevention Programs Director. Do I need to get closer
Yeah,
to
you
the
can
mic?
pull it closer to you. It moves.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it moves.
Oh, I'm asking you like this
Yeah.
is not your equipment. Do I need to do it again?
No, just keep going.
We're live.
Yeah, I
And we have
it's not like
Christina
this
Sharp.
retakes.
Take two. Your turn.
So I'm Christina and the Health Education Coordinator. We're a little bit scatterbrained today without Barry here helping with the flow and providing his general knowledge of the world. So today we're going to talk about like needs and the different needs that we have while we're on our journey and before we get on the journey, and how that changes, and we can communicate with everybody and help our communities out. So Katie, what would you think that your needs are now?
Right now, personally, or
Just
anything
anything.
needs. I need to get in the gym. That would be one of my big needs. Being in the gym, I mean, of course, it releases the happy hormones. And what are they called?
Endorphins.
Endorphins, that's what it's called. And so I went to the gym last night for a little bit and walked and lifted. And it made me feel a lot better because yesterday was not a very good day for me. And yeah, one being in the gym.
I've got to think what my needs are. I think my needs are like stillness. Like I'm not
yeah.
good at being still.
No, you're not.
No. Like having an environment of stillness is what I need, but it also makes me like the most uncomfortable. Let's see. David. Good afternoon, David. Carmela, so get off your phone, Katie. So we're going to start with the reflection for today. So our reflection is needs. Needs mean circumstances in which something is necessary or that requires some course of action. Our Mother Earth is governed by a set of principles, laws, and values that creates an interconnected system. We are all related, all animals, plants, humans, insects. We all need each other. The apple seed needs the earth and the soil. It needs the water, it needs the wind, and it needs the bees. The apple gives us the vitamins and fiber we need to have life. We need to respect all our relatives. We human beings also have needs which must be met. If all we have to give is selfishness, hate, anger, judgment, and fear to one another, these things are not what we humans are looking for to have our needs met. We are looking for love, kindness, empathy, caring, cooperation, and giving. When we are drinking and drugging, our behavior is not providing the right kind of needs, so we don't get along with people and we struggle in relationships. Even the plants and animals react to our negative behavior. When we start working the 12 steps, we remove our negative behavior and start doing and being the humans that give the needs that the Creator designed us to give to one another. Our lives and those around us improve. The animals and the plants now like us. Let's start being kind and loveful to each other because that is what we are all looking for.
That was a good one.
Mhm.
That got deeper than I had expected because I started thinking of like things I've been doing. Um, one, whenever we started first talking about needs, and then getting into the drinking and it affecting relationships, such as friendships, ruining different things. Because I used to, when I did drink, I ruined a lot of good friendships. But
How do you feel like your circle has changed in that?
oh my gosh. When I used to drink, I used to hang out, with people who I thought were friends and cared about my well-being, cared about me, just as a person. But in reality, and when I stopped drinking and I finally stopped in 2023, my whole circle drastically became literally to none. Like no one. I don't talk to really anyone that I did and when I did drink and party and all of that. Um, and right now it's just me and my sister that hang out. Nothing bad about that. But I mean, I've also gained genuine and real friendships that I know are going to last a lifetime, and they actually are people who do care about me. And want to see me do good. And yeah, so, but
So do you like how have your needs changed? Like how has your giving changed?
so to myself, I used to not, and this is kind of sad to say, I used to not take care of myself in a sense of my mental health being a priority. Um, my boundaries were basically non existent. I would let people walk over me. Um, I didn't really necessarily stand my ground. And all of that has changed to a point where I don't allow, like now I have boundaries that are set for myself. I don't allow myself to go in places, where I don't feel welcomed. Um, the last time, and even if I do step into a bar, it's very, very rarely, and it's to celebrate, a friend's birthday, and usually the DD. But I mean, that all of like your whole, it's crazy to think about the mindset and when you think about things that you've done in the past or mistakes you've made, it becomes, you know, like, why did I do that? Like, why did I make that choice? Or why did I allow this to happen? Um, but it's also it hurts. It did hurt, like the process of losing people you thought you were close to. And even it goes to an extension of like family, if they're still, partaking in things that you don't want to surround yourself in. Your outlook on life changes. The way you view yourself, see yourself, and the way you take yourself. All of that changes. I mean, I used to need to be around people to feel okay, and now I'm like so safe and secure when I'm alone. It's just like a whole 180 that took place. What do
Uh,
you? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No.
Oh, I was gonna ask you what your needs were.
Um, I think I put like everybody else's needs above mine. So like that's my needs are like having to take care of myself. So like finding that quiet time and that stillness. Um, I have to like set reminders just to like walk away from the busyness of the house. So with like Andy playing sports and taking care of everything else, um, I've like made it a point to like go to a quiet space now. And that's definitely helped because I feel like because I'm like refilling my cup that I can help other people too. And I'm not like so edgy and like just burnt out. I felt like I was really burnt out for a long time. Um, and then like especially like leaving teaching and coming to the tribe, I think that was like a big mind shift for me and life shift too. Cause like everything was around teaching, like grading papers and lesson planning and going to all the other events and stuff. So, like that was definitely like a necessary shift I needed to do because I was like losing myself in teaching and I was becoming like the parent I didn't want to be.
Yeah.
So I was a better teacher than I was a parent. So now I feel like I have a lot better balance. And I think that that comes from like being around people that are very balanced and try to take care of themselves and do what they need to do.
And you, like, with your job position, and when were you hired for the tribe? I can't remember.
Almost exactly 2 years ago, March
20
17th, I
I
think
thought it was like
3
22nd.
years.
Okay.
Yeah, so almost 3 years coming up there.
One thing I've learned and like watching you work is you want to fix everything. Like literally everything. And I'm like, even especially like, with the prevention programs being in a total of 15 schools and 12 of those being high schools and middle schools, you, of course, I'm not going to talk about it, but like you come back with like, hey, this was addressed. How can we help? And I'm like, okay, let's take it on.
I know
We can
every
fix
time I go
it.
to a school, I'm like, okay, so here's a problem. And I feel like people just like gravitate to me and they're like, I'm so glad you're here. Cause I feel like every time I'm at a school, there's like something happening.
Mhm.
And I think that, I'm just put in the right place at the right time because it's always like, it's never like a little issue. It's always like a huge issue. So I'm definitely a fixer and I'm like, okay, here's the problem. So here's all the solutions and how can we do this?
It's like, here's your job description, and here's in your mindset everything else.
Yeah. Like my
But
job description is what I have to do and everything else is like just added bonus. No, but like that's where like my needs come in because I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, if I'm just busy all the time doing something, so
And
I don't know.
no, but there's not. It's not us. It's also not a bad thing to be that way because I feel like with the prevention program staff and just like the tour program, I feel like we all work together in pathways, and is we try to fix and address everything we can, even if it's not even in our program.
Mhm.
And I feel like that is also what makes a huge difference in tribal communities. We are out in all of these communities that we know that are underserved, and we know their needs, and we know what they um, need. And so we outsource all of these different things. Like, the few projects that we're working on haven't put it out there yet, but they're in the works. I mean, one of them is Barry's here. But I mean, we all work together so well and addressing different things.
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, I really don't think we would be the accomplishing as much as we do without every single individual person. And it's honestly, DOH as a whole is awesome.
Yeah, DOH is out there like all the time. I mean, our calendar of events just like it's like every single day. It's like the Gourd clan and all the schools and the health fairs and MMUs and then all the meetings and everything. Like
Mhm.
I feel like DOH is just not just like in the community, it's like statewide, nationwide. Like it's huge,
Yeah.
which is crazy because Cheyenne Arapaho is like this, like it's a big portion of Oklahoma, but our like tribal population is so small that it's crazy the impact that all of these Department of Health programs is having just everywhere.
Mhm. So Darian, what are your needs?
I think I'm in the same boat as Christina. I mean, I do get burnt out a lot because I want to do more. I want to do more constantly. I think the big thing that fuels all of us at Tor is knowing that every time we deliver Narcan somewhere, it could be saving somebody's life. And so last year, it was 394 people that
Mhm.
could have died due to opioids or anything like that. And then So knowing all that is out there, we tend to not stop. We're trying to just keep going and going. And so I do think I need that tranquil environment whenever I go home. I try to separate work from home, but it's very difficult. Um, but yeah, I just need the, that positive support network that my family gives me, that kind of peace of mind whenever we're there, where we're just hanging out as a family, whether we're, doing woodworking together, playing games, anything. And so that kind of grounds me again and resets, uh, recharges me, I would say. And so that's my main thing is,
How is it different, like when you are burnt out? Like, how is your giving different?
it's not much given. I'm just exhausted, like I have like my main goals, it seems like, and everything else gets put on the back burner. And so it's more of a mentally reprioritizing everything. And so I want to avoid doing that, keep my priorities the same whenever I am at peace, to where whenever I'm at stress, there's still my priorities, because that's what gives me my peace is, my wife and kids. Our culture gives me peace a lot. So the Gourd Plan does help us as a whole feel that spirit kind of reinvigorating every time we go out there into the arena and dance. Anytime we see community members all happy, that's where I'm at.
How was the dances last weekend?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Oh, yeah.
I was enjoying my last weekend in the Navy.
I heard it was great. I think I heard you guys had like 2 to 3 drum groups there that showed up. Y'all do amazing at that.
It was, from the photos I saw and from the feedback, it was pretty big. Almost as big as the one we had last month, because last month's was huge. We packed the Respect Gym, and so this past weekend we packed the Clinton ERC. The next dance will probably be in May, because we do have a lot of conferences and events in March and April. And so we're going to take a break from hosting dances. We'll still be co-hosting. But yeah, so May hopefully will come back bigger and better than ever.
Y'all will. Y'all will.
Fall lineup in the works. And so a lot of our events are now becoming annual events. And so we're going to have our Overdose Memorial Dance in Watonga in August. September, we'll have a recovery dance. We're looking at large areas around the El Reno area. Then October, we will have a Red Ribbon Youth Powwow. And then in November, we will have our Circle of Giving toy drive for kids that have been affected by substance use. And so, we're already planning those things.
So something prevention's working on is the youth summit. How's that going?
Oh my goodness. The youth summit. We're planning for May. Last year we hosted it at the Clinton Frisco Center, I believe. Well, actually the past 2 years. First year Clinton, second year Clinton. This year we are looking at Lawton, and we want it to become a bigger yearly thing. So we're partnering with different tribes, the Wichita tribe, the Comanche Nation, and Cheyenne Arapaho. And so there is supposed to be a save the date flyer going out here pretty soon. And, we're going to reach out to other tribes like the Chickasaws, Choctaws, Absentee Shawnee. I know there's like 39 tribes in Oklahoma, and I can't even name them all. But we want to invite as many tribes as we can, their youth. And so, of course, the focus will be mental health, different outbreaks, breakout sessions, and focusing, implementing the culture and traditions, as healing, because culture is prevention. That also leads us to prevention is working on a media campaign. And so the whole reason behind it is tradition, not addiction, and prevention overall uses culture is prevention, the slogan. And this is going to highlight Cheyenne and Arapaho tribal members utilizing their culture in their life and their identity. Being able to talk about how they utilize, whether they do traditional dancing, whether they make, the traditional clothing, and how they implement that and how it helps with their mental health, and overall life. And so we want to be able to have all ages. We know that we have a lot of youth who are traditional dancers. We've reached out to a few, and they're going to be um, talking about it and expressing, how their culture is healing and how it helps them to stay away from substance abuse and drinking and the marijuana usage that we see that's happening in the schools today. And we're trying to get on top of that and prevent that.
I feel like that's like getting so much bigger, like the marijuana use,
It
recreational,
is.
even medicinal. Like I saw
Mhm.
where even kids can get medicinal marijuana now. And it's crazy that like it seems everything kind of circles back. So like
Mhm.
alcohol was a big thing, and then cigarettes, and then vaping. And I feel like I see more people smoking marijuana or using edibles than vaping now.
Yeah. And I mean, even schools see it. And that's where our prevention classes come in. And last year, whenever we compared the pre and post surveys, we had such a positive um, results. We declined, we brought down the percentages where we needed them to be brought down, and we increased the percentages where they needed to be increased. Like, for example, right off the top of my head, I think one of the questions in the pre-survey was, do you know of a trusted adult that you would be able to talk to, and basically feel comfortable addressing what you're going through at school? And when we first started out, the percentages weren't where we wanted them to be. So with those different schools and classes, we hit on how to identify a trusted adult, how to be able to express your feelings when you're not doing so well, how to be comfortable in that space with someone to be able to tell them and identify different signs of depression, suicidal ideation, anxiety. And that's where I know Christina has uh, a master's in
Uh, School
I was like,
counseling, principal, superintendent.
and so like we no, and we utilized that, and her going to school with that, being able to insert it into the things we teach. And so whenever we got the or post surveys back, it was a huge 10%, 15 increase on students feeling comfortable in talking about how they feel with their counselors or their parents or their grandparents. And I mean, even in some schools, the attendance of the tribal student body increased. Their participation in extracurricular activities increased. And so I know it's cute because when you guys all go out, just to games or anything, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you guys are from the tribe." And they're like, "Yeah." But
Yeah. So, kind of piggybacking off of that, you went to school in Anadarko.
yeah.
Your parents were educators, like they're with you. But how did you feel like as, a Native American in school? Like, did you feel like you had somebody that listened to you, or do you feel like you were like respected and represented?
Yeah, well, Anadarko, their population is about 75% Native American. So I felt good. Um Now my parents loved having them in there. And now that I look back at it, of course, being in elementary, middle school, high school, and my mom following me up every step of the way. She was in my middle school, she was in my high school. She was a special education teacher, and it's funny because my dad, he held different numerous titles at Anadarko, and he was the special education director for Anadarko, and so I was his boss, or he was her boss. And I was honestly, now I look back, at the time I wasn't happy because when I got in trouble, first person to know were my parents, and grounded. And but I'm thankful for it. um I Now that I think about it, counselors within schools really need in the school in general, um, teachers who work with Native American students and the minorities really need training on culture competency, culture sensitivity. And so they, I don't know if that's even implemented to this day. I know it wasn't when I was in high school. And whenever you talk about like or asked about being prepared, when I went to go to college to play basketball, I was the only Native American on the team, and that was hard on me, of course, because I feel like as Native American people, we come from big supportive families, very home oriented. We grow up so close with our aunts and our uncles and our parents and our sisters and cousins, and that when we're kind of not pulled away, but we go to further our education, um, we're kind of lonely whenever we leave. And even though I was like only 3 hours away, it took a toll on me. My professors didn't know how to help. The counselors that the school didn't know how to help. Uh, had such a great coach, but they didn't even know how to help. There weren't really any tribal resources there to utilize, and
Were you still in Oklahoma?
yeah, Northern Oklahoma College in Enid is when I played, and then from there I had 2 ACL tears, and then I went online to UCO. But it was, yeah, it was a freshman year was probably the hardest year, and
Especially coming from like Anadarko, because that's where you went to school pretty much the entire time with the
yeah,
same people.
hmm
And that's a long, long way. Like 3 hours isn't a lot, but it still is a lot.
yeah. And I mean, I remember there was one time we had a game in Hobbs, New Mexico, and stayed the night there, and then next day we drove back. We didn't get back home until like a Friday or Saturday at like 3 a.m. And I missed my parents so much. Got in my car and drove home at like 3 a.m. in the morning. And my mom wakes up and she's like, "You're home?" And she honestly got upset with me because I didn't tell her. She said I should have, because one, she was worried, and she was like, "This could have happened, this could have happened," but she was glad I made it home safe. But being who I was and needing that family support and just being at home back to where I was comfortable uh, helped. So I needed that.
Do we have some comments going on?
Yes, you do. You have Michael Goodchild from the Rosebud Reds.
Hi, Michael.
He's been working hard at it since 2008 for sobriety.
Oh, wow.
And then he's still in recovery from past trauma, alcohol and drugs. And then the Zooms and the live streams help quite a bit. They help give others hope and, show a place to reach out. And then it talks about using cultural and traditional practices to help them along their recovery. It says hello, how's you doing? And then Tatum says, hello, beautiful friends.
Oh, hey, Tatum. Scroll back up a little to Michael's comment right there. See, that's exactly like a perfect example of, getting back into your roots and grounding yourself. And I mean, I would love to hear his story and everything what he's working towards and how he's doing now.
Yeah. Yeah, and then on his other comment, incorporating culture into education. Like I taught at El Reno for 10 years, and I think we only had like one cultural competency training the entire 10 years I was there. And it's hard, like that door has to go both ways. Like the educators and the school systems have to be able to ask questions, but then I feel like the tribe has to also make sure that they're like involved in the schools. And I've seen Cheyenne Arapaho tribe is the one who did our cultural competency training. And it was like all day long and it was amazing, like so many things. And it was nice to have somebody that came that was just down the street that we could talk to and ask questions. But there's always, it's like just a weird situation of wanting to ask what's appropriate, but how to do it like in the right way with the right people.
Mhm.
So I think it definitely helps having tribal representation in the school, to be able to go and ask those people questions. Or there's a lot of stuff around like funerals and Sundance and all the other stuff, and that's important to allow those kids to go to those things.
Yeah.
And attendance isn't always, it's important, but it's not always what's most important
Mhm.
when they're missing out on cultural things.
Yeah.
So
And something that's a part of who they are,
Mhm.
and like what they like, just their cultural identity in general. And I feel like that goes across all boards for all tribes too. I don't even know if, I mean, I don't want to get political, but oh yeah, let's not get political. I wish, Oklahoma could, yep.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get it together.
Yeah, we need some people to get it together for sure. I mean, it's a sad world nowadays when you never know what's going to happen.
Hmm.
So it's crazy out there. I don't even know where to start.
Is Barry here?
Yeah, look.
He
Oh.
left. Yeah.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, we're holding it
I was
down.
like, where's Barry?
You guys are doing fine. You got 30 minutes of you just spreading the word.
Spreading the
Yeah.
word. But one of the things also, like, that we have noticed in the schools and at the elementary level, and what we've trying to been working with kids and younger, middle school, going into middle school, is bullying.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know why it's still happening in schools, especially, like, just because of what it can lead to. And I mean, I read these stories across, just from different schools across the nation, of what it's causing these young kids to do. And that's something we've tried to address, and we're continuously trying to address within the schools, especially, the younger age. And I mean, it doesn't even stop there. Sadly, it goes up.
Yeah. It's like cultural, and like I've seen so many bullying situations, like cousins versus cousins, or this side of town versus this side of town, or like, I mean, it doesn't even matter. It could just be like financial, and like what clothes you wear, like
Mhm.
all the way
The
down to
brand.
3rd and 4th grade. Like that's crazy to me that we're already just so involved in that at such a young age. And I feel like social media has a big part to do with it, but then
Mhm.
I've seen social media like help people see that there's things outside of their little community. So it's like a double-edged sword of like helping with the bullying situation, but then making it so much worse with cyberbullying
Yeah.
and talking about people and the pictures and Snapchat and everything else. Oh, we've got a couple of things. Natalie says DEI has everyone scared of cultural competence training too, and it's sad for sure. Like, people are scared of everything right now, but I feel like people were like on the track of like cultural competency training, and that was like a big push, especially with 988. That was one of our grant goals, and now like everyone's just scared of everything.
Jerica said, sorry I missed the beginning of this convo. What are some things you guys do for mental health? What are some things that have worked for you, have not worked for you? How deep can we get? Yeah. So, personally, like, I feel like, now that I'm older, and understand. I've been working with the mental health field for about 7 years now, going on 8 years. And I was bullied in elementary school, middle school, high school, college, not so much, but that's where everything kind of started. Like stacking up on each other, because in school we did not go over the signs of, suicidal ideation. We didn't go over things. What is he doing? We-
shooting up in the back. That's all.
No one came in and talked to us about, like, oh my gosh, came to us, our school, our student body, and talked to us about resources, how to identify, depression, or that we're having an anxiety attack, or again, I'm going to hit on suicidal ideation, because I didn't know I had it in high school until I went to college. In my freshman year, I attempted in, I think it was September of 2012 or October. And I didn't realize how bad it was. And so what did not work for me at the time, was I got into partying with my college friends. And I wish I knew the different signs that I was able to, because I hit every single one of them now that I started working in the field. I was like, one, I was isolating myself. Two, I was not getting enough sleep. Three, I turned down going to hang out with friends. It got to an extent where I didn't go back home. All I did was homework, basketball, and I mean, really, that was it. And it got overwhelming. And getting, growing up and getting older, I still dealt with depression. I still dealt with having anxiety, and I still dealt with suicidal ideation. And after, losing my mom, that's when everything started, like, getting bad. I mean, I self-harmed. Now I have a big tattoo on my thigh that I covered where I used to cut. And I mean, I started self-harming. I started drinking a lot. I abused alcohol, where I was partying like 4 to 5 days out of the week, and then I'd get up, come to work, and then it was like nothing happened. And so what I thought was helping me was going out and doing all of these things, like partying and drinking, like going, and it wasn't. I was ignoring focusing on my personal mental health. I was ignoring addressing things like simple as going to see a counselor or a therapist. And I was isolating myself. And sometimes I wouldn't even eat for a couple of days because I wasn't hungry. And finally, what hit me the most is, like, there was this quote that says something like, what you're not changing, you're choosing. And I'm like, you know what? And that's kind of where I also had to identify that I was also too the problem, because I was making these choices and I was the one going and driving myself to go meet up with who I thought, were my friends, and drinking. And what I was doing was really suppressing everything that I was feeling, from grief to anger to sadness to depression, isolation, questioning why everything, or like why my mom had to die. And then I think, and that's whenever, like, beginning of 2023 was when I kind of realized, like, okay, I need to do something about this, because if not, I'm either going to, one, end up in a situation that I might not be here anymore, or two, I have no idea. I mean, I don't want to think about that, but I'm honestly surprised I even had the willpower to completely just quit cold turkey. I don't know how I did it. It was July 19th, and I just completely quit. And then, like, 1 week led up to 2 weeks, and then a month, and then like 2 months, and then like half a year. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But what has really helped me is one, meditating, like just sitting in quietness and stillness, kind of like how you were talking about. Going back into my roots and grounding myself, remembering, where I came from and who brought me up, and remembering that like I am loved, one, I'm important, and actually believing that. And another one that helped is affirmations, positive affirmation, because the way you speak to yourself, your body can't tell the difference. So what you put out, your body is listening. And so you got to speak to yourself kindly. And I used to not do that. I mean, sometimes I still kind of struggle with it. But I mean, reading about self-help books, reading, journaling also helped me. What else? Go walking, simple nature walks, going out and hiking, doing things that I don't really normally do. Like, I mean, I used to fish when I was younger in Arizona, and now I'm at to the point where I will not take the fish off the hook, but I'll go fishing if someone can do all of that for me. Fishing is pretty fun. But what about you? What has helped you?
So I also journal, and when my husband passed away, I started like just journaling everything. So if you like walk into my bedroom, like I have a bookshelf, and it's like, what would it be now? Like 10 years. So I have like 10 years of journals, and it's just like every single day. So it's really cool, like to look back though and see like where I was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even a year ago, and like how that's changed. And I doodle a lot. Like I draw little like things everywhere.
I've noticed that. Like you'll do it like in the corner of your paper or something.
Yeah. So like I really like to doodle everywhere and write quotes down that like inspire me or speak to me. And I've noticed like, especially in the winter time, if I'm not like outside, like make myself go outside.
Yep.
Like it is so bad. Like I have such terrible seasonal depression. Like I need the sunlight. I don't like the cold. And then like being a mom and stuff, like I wake up so early, like 5 o'clock in the morning, just to have like an hour of peace. Cause I know when I get off of work, like we're just like running and going all the time. So like I'm really intentional about like getting up and doing my self-care and doing yoga and drinking my cup of coffee. Like I intentionally make time for myself. And on the days that like I choose to sleep in, like I feel like my whole day is like so rushed and I can't ever get ahead. And then I'm like really short with the kids when I get home. So I think just like those three, like brain dumping and getting it out of my head, giving time to nature, and then giving myself the space and the time to just not be mom, not be, an employee, not be a friend, just be like with myself.
Oh, whenever you mentioned like being with yourself, one thing that was probably the hardest transition I've had to accept and be okay with is before before the beginning of 2023, I always needed to be doing something. Like it didn't matter. Like, okay, let me go to the mall just to go to the mall. Or let me go this place just because I needed to be out. Like, so I was always away from home, and I never actually just sat and took time with myself, by myself. And I think I was scared to be alone, or just the feeling of loneliness. And it's not loneliness. I mean, once you start being comfortable in your own space, it like your mindset starts to change, and you start to like identify what you don't want around you. And that goes to friends, that goes to relationships, that goes to even friendship relationships with family, then you start increasing, your boundaries and what is serving you and fulfilling, helping you grow initially. And so, me going out and like just being around, I do believe in energy. Like, say if someone's having a bad, and like kind of gets back and you're like,
Yeah, all the bad vibes. Like I can immediately walk into a room and be like, this is not for me at all. Like I catch on so many people's vibes and just like I'm out. Like
mhm.
I'm more important than whatever you got going on right now.
But like I think that was probably my biggest struggle was learning to be okay by myself. And I honestly think I've gotten so comfortable where that's all I do now is I'm by myself. Other than Hannah being in her room and me going like, "Hey Hannah, you hungry?" Like she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, let's go get food." Other than that, I mean, I feel like now I got to kind of make myself go spend time with family and actually meet for a dinner
Yeah.
or coffee with friends, but
Yeah. Like now I have to be intentional with what I'm doing.
yes, that's a perfect word, intentional of where you're allowing yourself to be.
I was talking to Tatum when I was getting my hair done, and she was like, how do you like your new house? Because we had built a house like further out in the country. And I say further out, it's like 3 miles away. Like it's not even like out in the country. But for me, like living in town, like that, it's big for me. And I told Tatum, like, the problem is that I love my alone time so much. Like I'm okay staying at home
Mhm.
and just being there. Like I have to make myself come into town and do something. Like
Yeah.
I'm probably moving out to the country was like the best thing for my mental health and like the worst thing for my relationships. Cause I tell people all the time, like, I have like relationship object permanence where like if I don't see you, like I'm like, oh yeah, they're fine. They're
Mhm.
okay. Like I have to be really intentional about being like, okay, I thought about this person, so I need to text them. And if I don't, like I'll go like 2 or 3 months without talking to
See,
somebody.
and I'm the exact same way. Like it's not that it's on purpose, it's just like I forget.
Yeah.
And y'all
It's like
know
if you
I'm
don't see
forget
somebody all the time, you're like, oh yeah, that
and
person.
and it's nothing like love them to death. I do. And sometimes I'll go through my text and I'm like 50 unread and I'm like, "What?"
Hmm.
And then I'll start clicking on them and I'm like, "I am so sorry."
Yeah.
Like I genuinely I just forgot because that's another thing. I got to start texting people back.
I want to be a good friend, but like sometimes, like honestly, like it's the worst thing because I'm like, sometimes I don't have the energy to keep up a conversation. So I'm like, I love you so much, but like having those friends that you can be like, I love you, I hear you. However, I
I'm
don't have the
tired.
energy right now. Like, yes, 100%, but I can't respond to you right now and like keep a conversation.
Mhm.
Like, I would rather have like an hour or 2 hour conversation over coffee or dinner
Yes.
than like text somebody every single day. So like I love the friends I have that understand that. They're
Mhm.
okay with, my randomness of being like, I've got an hour, let's go get something real quick, or let's go just run errands or whatever.
Yeah. See, I'm the exact same way now that I think about it. And I do have this one friend that we became really good friends because we met in 2012 at college, and she understands me. And actually, there's two people. Like if I don't reply, they don't hold it against me. And I'll be like, "Hey, I'm back. I'm so sorry." They're like, "No, you're good. Like we understand," because they understand like everything that I've been through, and I
Mhm.
understand them as well. And it's so like refreshing to have people in your life who don't take it personal because we all each individually have our own lives
Mhm.
that we can't attend to like
Yeah.
every single thing every single day with other people. And shout out to them
Yeah.
because
But I feel like those people are like the realest people because
Mhm.
like the ones who expect you to be there every single time something happens, like I've noticed that they're not the ones that like give that back.
Mhm.
But like my friends that know how I am, they're so much better at being there when I need them and because they know I'm there for them too. So I feel like those are like the better relationships I have with people is the ones who understand. You want to read what we got over here?
Yeah. All right. So we have Tatum saying your willingness to share such deep struggles is admirable. And then Carmela says Katie needs to speak tonight. Oh. And then my Aunt Charlene says hello.
Hi.
Tatum agrees that you need to do speaker nights. And then my aunt again says great words. I share your view on talking positive to my own self because our bodies don't know what a different perspective I have now on my own healing, and solitude isn't lonesome for me anymore. Yes, and living in the country helps. And my other aunt says, yes, boundaries are huge. I have detached from relatives and others that are harmful to my peace. And home is my sanctuary. I have a counselor that challenges me to go do activities that are not work or AA related because of how hard it is for me to get out of my comfort zone. Love this topic.
See, and oh, sorry.
And then Jesse and Shirlene say prayers for the Franklin Jr. family.
Yes.
Yep. And then my wife says, right on point, girl.
How is that again? Is it Dina?
Yeah.
She said it's something stuck out to me because of how hard it is for me to get out of my comfort zone. That because and as everyone's different, of course, and we all have our different comfort zones. And I'm glad she brought that up because l- for me, like for an example, like something that got me way out of my comfort zone. um and it's also like something I've had to learn to address with my thinking, and it was a me problem. I've also One of the things that I've also learned is like sometimes I'm the problem, and I am. And I'm like, girl, get yourself together. But so I was asked to be I grew up playing basketball. If Anadarko had volleyball, I think volleyball would have been a main sport because I love it. And
Because you're not like on like a little league team thing, right?
yeah, and
Okay.
I got asked like, "Hey, do you want to play on a league with us?" And I'm like, it caught me so off guard because I've never been asked that, and I'm like, volleyball, and my anxiety got like increased so much, and I'm like, okay, what if I'm not liked? And that's the thing, like it's a me problem. Like, what if they don't like me? What if this and that? And I'm creating those scenarios, fake scenarios in my head, and I'm making the uncertain certain.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming these things. And I'm like, well, what if I suck? What if I cause us to lose? Like, what if I do this? And it was so out of my comfort zone that I haven't been in any type of league ever in my life. But then something was telling me to go and do it, like to join it. And I'm like, okay, if I have to pay for this, I have to be committed for the duration of like 3 months, every single week, once a week. And so I did, and it's actually the funnest thing. I mean, I'm the only one that brings my speaker because the place doesn't provide music, so I'm in there bumping some ghetto music, and like it's so fun because like one, it's for fun, and of course I'm competitive and I want to win, and all the girls want to win too. So if y'all want to come watch us play, it's in Yukon.
Here's some good music.
Jackie Cooper Gym. But yeah, getting out of your comfort zone, and I'm putting my shoes back on. And so like that just alone, like I feel like brought me out of my comfort zone because when you first meet me, I am very quiet. I don't talk that much.
Mm.
And
RBF is real.
yes, yes. And it takes me a minute to like be able to talk. It's like again, that's a me thing. I get nervous, really nervous, and so I stick to being quiet. I stick to holding back, and I'm starting to slowly get out of that and to actually put myself out there. That's another thing, like hits on the comfort zone. I'm trying to get out of my comfort zone
Mm.
and be more approachable.
Remind yourself to smile. I'll start
Yes.
texting you and be like, smile.
Like, okay, I'm sorry. Yes.
Do you have any other wise words before we hop off?
No, I mean, you guys were stressing about not knowing what to say, and you've talked for 54 minutes. So let's say you guys are are pretty comfortable now. So, I mean, congratulations.
Yeah, this was out of
Well,
our
we are.
comfort zone.
Yeah.
But I know I think you guys bring a lot more calming energy than we do. I mean, you guys know how we act, and so I think it's a good change of pace for a lot of the viewers because they do want to see a more feminine side, a more deep side on that, on a lot of these things that we see every day, but we don't talk about every day. And so I do think you guys are doing good things, and the way you talk will connect with a lot of people. You won't even realize it, but you'll probably get some people that'll notice you and say thank you for sharing, thank you for being vulnerable, because that's how you connect with people, is being vulnerable, and that's how they know that you're human, they're human, they've been through some obstacles, and relating to that, I think, is what gets people to heal together. And so, yeah, that's all I got.
Well, thank you. I was really nervous because just me being me, I'm always nervous. Once I get comfortable, then I can't shut up. That's another
I
thing.
mean, you start kicking your shoes off and everything. So, I mean, it's pretty comfortable. Wait for your feet to just pop up. But yeah, anything else?
I don't
No.
think so.
All right. Well, this was Katie and Christina's Mental Health Monday, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
Bye, guys.